Welcome to the Nerdist Podcast number 616. I hope you guys are going to have a nice holiday season. I hope you have a wonderful, whatever it is that you're celebrating. If you're celebrating just the fact that you don't have to work, or if you do have to work.
That's the best thing to celebrate.
Is not having to work?
Yeah. Just not wearing pants, sitting in your house. It's the best.
You barely wear pants to come in here.
I started wearing pants a good long time ago, sir.
Yes, we've trained him and put pants on him. You're like the water skiing squirrel.
I thought that would get Jonah Ray's condescending looks to stop. I was wrong, but I like the pants.
It only increased their intensity. But I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. This episode is Joe Perry from Aerosmith, and he just released a 4-song EP, Joe Perry's Christmas, and also has his memoir, Rocks My Life In and Out of Aerosmith. And so we literally just recorded Joe, and what did you say?
Okay, so I'm walking him to the parking lot, and they're like, "Oh, who are you guys interviewing next?" I'm like, "Oh, we're going and interviewing Paul McCartney." And he's like, "Oh, fun fact, I just recorded with Paul McCartney. Yeah, it was me and Alice Cooper and Johnny Depp."
What?
And we're recording a Badfinger song that Paul McCartney wrote back in when Badfinger's first album was coming out, when they were banned on Apple Records, that he wrote because they needed a hit.
Oh, my God.
And Paul had written and recorded all the parts, gave Badfinger the demo, they recorded it. It did become a hit, because that's what Paul McCartney does.
Yeah.
And then he'd never touched it again. And then was like, you know what I need to do is get Alice Cooper, Joe Perry, and Johnny Depp to come and help me re-record it like 30 years later.
Oh, my God. Well, see, I didn't want to bring up that McCartney was going to be the next guest, because you don't know what people's relationships are, and I'd also
Turns out real good.
It turns out real good. But I also didn't want to be like, well, our next guest is Paul McCartney. You know, I didn't want to be
Well,
that
I like
guy.
that the Paul one will be out after all or before all of these, so there's just going to be this weird runner of everyone going, "Are we going to talk to Paul? How are we going to go?"
I know. Well, because I'm
like, "Guys, it went fine."
now I'll ask him about that. So basically,
there we go.
These will be time shifted.
We got dirt.
Yeah, if you listen to them actually in order, then they're actually
like
they're actually
the way
reversed.
they come out. It's like a William Burroughs thing. Like we've just cut up and put the podcast in different order.
That's right. So you, the viewer, will have to decide what the real time stream is. It's Nerdist Podcast number 616 with Joe Perry.
Now entering Nerdist.com.
How are you?
All right. How about you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Are you winding down for the holidays, or is this a busier time of year for you?
It's I don't know. That's a multi-layered question. We're kind of as the book tour ended, we figured we're going to go to Florida, maybe even have Christmas there.
Mm-hmm.
Have all the kids fly down, and then the book came in at on the charts pretty high, and which blew our minds, and so a whole bunch more opportunities to do more podcasts and things, So we ended up staying out here, and I was planning on doing some solo stuff, work on my solo stuff out here, and just to fill in the time, between whatever.
Yeah.
And I figured, well, why not do some Christmas songs? I mean, we haven't done it. I've always wanted to do some kind of Christmas record with the Aerosmith, and we just never. It was on one of those short lists, like a blues record, cover a rock and roll record, do whatever, and it just never happened. So I just said, well, let's just shift gears and jump in the studio and see what comes out. And fortunately, because it's near the holidays, a lot of the local guys that we know that are great players, like the horn players and stuff, were available, and we were able to fit in a few hours every day, and so we put this EP together, and actually it worked out for a couple of reasons. I mean, not only were we able to do the EP and hook it up with a charity to help bring music to the schools. I mean, we're always trying to help out with that. But then they wanted somebody said, I think VH1 said, can you do a video with it? And so we ended up doing a video for it. And then,
So
then it started to build up again and build up again. And so now we got, a bunch of stuff to do and to wind that up. And we had some business that showed up that we weren't expecting, so I ended up having to stay out here until I think about the 20th. Then Then we're going to split for Vermont.
Okay, then you have a couple days off.
Then we'll have some days off. But, come on, is Christmas really off? You know what I mean? I mean, you're running around shopping and all that stuff. It's not
just a different kind of...
You can focus on that, and it's really... I think that, like, after Christmas is done and the holidays are over, we'll be able to chill out.
Well, because it's like you have to shift out of work into family work.
Right.
I mean, you do get that nice moment, like, oh, it's Christmas, now we're trading presents, and we're all...
Right.
But everything around that is like, I forgot that guy. Oh, I gotta do that. Oh, shit.
It's that, and so... But I mean, like you said, it's a whole different shift, and it kind of like breaks you in for relaxing. So it's and being in Vermont is great, and it's a whole different thing.
So what does Aerosmith give each other for Christmas? Do you guys have it's guys, we don't need anything else, no presents, or is it like, do you what do you give each other? Usually it's birthdays is when we do presents, but for it's been a long time. I mean, when the kids were small and we would all get together, we would have a party. All the families would get together and everybody would do presents and all that stuff. But since everybody's kind of split and gone their own way with their own lives. It's pretty much, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, or whatever. And then, but like when it really comes down to giving out presents, it's like if I see something really cool that I know Tom likes or would like, I'll get it for his birthday or something like that. It's really loose, you know. So, that's about how we deal with it. How long have you guys? How long has it been now that you guys have been together?
We had our 40th. I think Toys in the Attic came out 40 years ago. So we've been together probably 42 or 43 years.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
And how do you guys stay together? Like, to me, it's a wonder that any band ever stays together.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, it's hard enough to have a two-person relationship, but to have like a many-person relationship where everyone's got to have, because ultimately, I assume, you all have to have similar goals and want to work to make a similar thing over time. And like, how does it sustain that long?
Thanks. Well, it's. I guess it's because, like when we first got together, I mean, it wasn't like we were a bunch of high school friends that all kind of got together and had a band as well and that kind of thing. I mean, we kind of, except for Tom and I, who were friends and met really when we were young. And, I mean, we kind of picked the guys we wanted in the band for their musical skills and all that, and also we all loved rock and roll, and we all wanted to get on stage and play, and nobody ever thought that it would be a career like this, like with in parentheses, you know what I mean, or whatever. I mean, it was like, let's see if we can get to the next week and pay the rent. Let's see if we can get through the next month and put food on the table, and maybe we'll get a record deal. We'll see, But mainly it was just like keeping the calendar full with gigs, and hey, 1 year turned into the next, and then we managed to get some people around us to support us and help, and then we got a manager, and then we got a manager who helped us find some managers in New York, and just one thing after another, day by day. And the main thing is we love to play live. We love to get on stage and play. And no matter what's gone on, except for the time I left the band for 4 or 5 years when we really needed to take a break, I needed to take a break and kind of settle a few things in my personal life, and just really let the band decompress. Aside from that, I mean, it was the feeling is the same, getting on stage and playing, and hearing the audience cheer when we play some of those old songs and some of the new songs, and it's really been the thing that's held it together. It's been the fans and that original feeling of like, wow, we're getting on stage, and you know what, we might be able to do it better tomorrow. And that's the thing that hooks us in. So, no matter what goes on, maybe we can play the show better tomorrow. Maybe we can make a better record. And 42 years later, here we are. I mean, it's like, back then, man, it was not a career that you picked for longevity, that's for sure. I mean, I think, when was it, 71 or 70? And Jimmy died, and Jim Morrison and Janis Joplin, and we would see bands come and go, bands that were, I mean, really good bands that had everything, songs on the radio, hit records and all that, and then they'd disappear, for one reason or another, it really wasn't something that you look down the road and go, well, we'll be doing this in 10 years. I mean, so no. I mean, nobody figured it was going to last like this.
How much of those bands kind of coming and going, how much of that do you think was just, general musical tastes have changed, and how much was it, these people had a lot of personal issues? Like, have you ever, I'm sure you've met people before, you're like, wow, you're really talented, how come you're not, further along, and then you realize they have serious personal issues that got in the way, that prevented them from focusing and getting them to the next level. Like, did you notice any sort of disparity or connection between those two things?
I've seen, I think we've all seen it happen. I mean, probably one of the biggest examples of that would be Guns N' Roses. I mean, these guys were primed to be, huge, and they could have been, one of the biggest bands even today if they had kept things together. And obviously there were personal issues that they just couldn't deal with. I'm good friends with Slash, and and I don't think that they could figure out what was going on with Axl, you know what I mean? And I mean, they went right from, I mean, we saw them. I mean, they opened for us that summer when they went from being like basically a club band, kind of a so-called baby band. I mean, when they walked on stage, even then, you knew they had it and they could do it. You know what I mean? They'd go out there and they were great. They had a great first record, and by the time the tour was over, they were steamrolling and they were crushing it. And and then they had that year or two when they were filling every stadium in the world, literally, and then it just fell apart after that double album they did. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Axl still goes out and plays, with a band called Guns N' Roses, and he does great in wherever they play, as far as drawing an audience, but it's not that band that everybody wants, you know what I mean? And I don't know if they could ever, at least talking to Slash, I don't know if they could get it back together. I really don't, I'd like them to, because I think they're a great band. I think they're one in a million, but it's just that personality thing, and this I could go down the list, but that's probably the one that everybody has seen. All the fans of Guns N' Roses, are scratching their heads, going, well, why can't they just go back in the studio and do another record and go back on the road? They don't even have to talk to each other. There's a lot of bands that have stayed together, or they don't have anything to do with each other.
Like the Police.
When they're not
like a one tour.
You name them, man.
Yeah.
The list goes on. I mean, the Eagles, I don't think, from what I understand, they don't talk to each other. You know what I mean? When they're not on stage, or they deal with each other when they need to talk about some business or whatever, and then they're to go their separate ways. But they managed to at least get on stage and play and do tours and whatever. But it's really a tough thing. I mean, it's way beyond just having a good song and being able to play good live and having your songs on the radio or back in the VH1 MTV days, having a good video and all that. I mean, it takes a lot more than that. Because you're kind of growing, I mean, your personal life. You go from being a teenager with no responsibility, no family, no kids to worry about, none of that, and then you get have a girlfriend, or you get married, then the kids